All right, it is time for what I've been watching, and it actually also happens to be a top 10 list. I kind of actually got it to 10 this time. Hey everyone, it is Shannon, and I'm super excited to be here today and to share with you some of the favorite shows I have been watching in 2020. I'm actually going to do two TV videos, one of which will be my favorite TV shows that either I watched to completion or actually completed in 2020, but this video is going to be about TV shows that I started or continue to watch in 2020, and either they're ongoing TV series or I haven't finished watching them yet. So these are sort of more ongoing, in process, either of the viewing experience or of the TV series itself. I do have a top 10, which I did alphabetically, but I do also have two honorable mentions because I find it hard to stick to any parameters, even if they're ones that I set up. This will be a spoiler-free video. I will just give a brief idea of what the TV series is about and why I enjoy it, and I have to remember to do both of those things as we go through. Let's see if I do. The first honorable mention is a show that I don't know. Let's just go. So the first honorable mention is Swamp Thing. I'm watching this on the CW, which I watch a lot of shows on the CW, and I watch a lot of TV through Antenna. And early this year, I was not able to get through the CW at all, and I was so sad because so many of the shows I watch that way, and so many of the shows that I'm very, very dedicated to are on the CW. So is a bunch of stuff that I missed, and this one actually I missed it when it first came around. I think it was on. I don't know what channel it was on, but it wasn't available. But in November, the CW miraculously started working again, and I started receiving it through the Antenna again. So I was like, what's on the schedule? And Swamp Thing was on the schedule. So I decided to start watching it in episode 5. And it only has 10 episodes. And it's been canceled. So this is just one of those ones that I like. I'm just so happy to be getting the CW, so that's so strongly associated with Swamp Thing. And I'm also enjoying the show as well. It is a bit more extreme than normal CW shows. The level of violence is definitely higher, and there is swearing, but they bleep it out. But it's very awkward. It's been a long time since I've seen a TV show that bleeps something out, but they do that. So I don't know what channel it was originally on. I did not include that in my research because I'm watching it through the CW. Anyway, so I am going to continue to watch this. It is similar from my recollection of the movie, which I have. Maybe when I finish watching this, I'll go back and watch the movie. I don't know if it holds up over time, but I still probably I'm fond of it as far as I remember. Anyway, the Swamp Thing, if you're unfamiliar, I'm kind of guessing because as I said, I missed like the first 5 episodes, but it looks like there was some kind of event and someone turned into a swamp thing, and then they have a connection with this woman. And, in a way, it's a bit of a Beauty and the Beast kind of situation, right? He's generally thought of as scary, and I think there is something to do with anger issues, but they have a connection and they communicate, and he's a bit of a protector, I think, to her. I am trying to piece this together. I have been really surprised, actually, at the cast in this. Oh, I didn't look it up. I should have mentioned it because I didn't look it up. I think, oh, I can't remember anyone's names. Oh, that was bad of me. I will link a trailer up above, and hopefully that will have everyone listed in it. And, but I've been enjoying it. It is over the top, and it is high stakes. Oh, Kevin Durand is in it. I love Kevin Durand. And he's not who I was thinking, though. Anyway, it's been a joy to watch, and I'm curious to see where it goes. Also, one that's an honorable mention, and this is because I'm not yet up to date, but it is one of my favorite shows, so I thought I would mention it anyway, and that is, of course, Vikings. Oh, I love Vikings so much. So I've watched up to season 1 through 5, and I do have season 6 part 1 on Blu-ray, but I haven't watched it yet. And apparently season 6 part 2 is still listed as 2020, but we're getting close to the end of 2020. Last year it was really started to release in December, so maybe it will then. I don't have history, that's where it airs on here in Canada. I don't have history anymore, so but they have been airing it on like if you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe to stacked, and one of the layers of stacked is history. I probably will just wait for the Blu-rays because I like to rewatch the entire series before I watch the new series. So that's my plan, is to rewatch season 1 through 5 and then season 6 part 1. But I can't leave Vikings off the list. It is completing with season 6 part 2. That will be the final season of Vikings, and I'm so sad. I love it so much. It's very intense, but I have loved it since the very first episode. Even as brutal as it is, I absolutely love it, and I adore the cast. So that is my last honorable mention. So now we go into the alphabetical A to Z for the top 10. That's just how I decided to do it. And first up, we have All American. This is on the CW. It is had 2 seasons so far, and will be going into its 3rd season in January. January 18th will be the 3rd season. This is based on a true story, and it follows a guy who is a football player who gets he's a high school football player, and he gets recruited by a different team, and ends up moving to stay with them, and play for a different school. I've loved this from the very beginning. It has always been one that I can't wait to watch it, and I'm so thrilled the CW is coming through. And I didn't know if it would have been renewed, and I didn't know it was coming back. So when I did research for this, I found out it's coming back in early January. I was over the moon. This is a great cast, and I really love the story. I like sports stories, and this one has so much heart. And the lead guy, oh my gosh, he's so great, and it's complicated. There's lots of complicated stuff in this one, and I just really enjoy it. So it has been one that I've enjoyed both seasons, and I'm looking forward to season 3. Next up, okay, so this is a bit of a risky pick for me because I've only watched the very first episode. So this is called Borgen, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. It is a Danish political drama. It has 3 seasons, but I've only watched the beginning. But so far, I found it extremely engaging. There's lots of dynamics and relationships and secrets, and I don't know where anyone's loyalties lie, but it had quite a dramatic season opener, and I'm very curious to see where it goes. And I have been working on Danish in Duolingo, so I want to have a Danish TV series in the mix so I can start to hear the language more and learn how to say more than I'm eating an apple, or I don't have pants on, or something like that. That actually comes up, or whatever. They're very their sentences, especially in the early levels. Well, that's not true. They have greetings and stuff about food and stuff like that. But sometimes it's who would say that? Who would say that? So anyway, I am really curious to see where this one goes. Let me know if you've watched it. I'm watching it on Netflix. Okay, what's next? Alert! Okay, so this one, unfortunately, I could not find a good image for, and this actually is not even great. So this is it actually is the show. It's The Circle, but I watched the France version, and there are several different versions of this. There's an American version, there is a Brazil version, which I started but haven't finished, but I started with the France edition, and I really enjoyed it. The Circle is a reality TV show. It's on Netflix here in Canada, and it is based on social media. All of your interactions with the other people are in social media, and you can choose to be yourself, or you can choose to be someone else, as long as you have a roster of pictures to choose from for your profiles, because there's no actual in-person interaction. It is all through not social media, they created social media, it's not actually through Twitter or anything like that. It's actually everyone is in sort of an apartment complex in different rooms, and they have TV screens that show alert, when there is a new message or a game, or someone new comes into the game, or something needs to happen. It is sort of a Big Brother situation where there is voting, and someone becomes not the head of household, but there is a ranking, and that says something about the order in which people respond to each other. It was a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed it, and yeah, and again, I like to watch shows in other languages, and this one was really interesting because people talk very quickly, and my French is rusty at best. I took French, from grade 3 to grade 12. So, and I do it on Duolingo when I'm in a rush. I'll do French because it's just second nature. At the level I'm at right now, it's like I just remember most of them, except for à bientôt. I always think that means see you tomorrow, and in Duolingo, à bientôt is like, or I always think it's until next time, and in Duolingo they have it as see you soon. So I don't know if I'm remembering incorrectly, but also it's just interesting those are see you soon and until next time are similar, but they are different phrases. So I don't know if it's a literal translation thing. I don't mean to be talking about Duolingo all this much, but anyway, as I like to watch a show in French, and so this is the one that I picked. I think the next one I picked might be a Canadian show. If you have any recommendations, I'd love to hear it. So anyway, The Circle of France. Next up we have, speaking of other languages, Into the Night. Wow, okay, so this is an intense show. I watched it on Netflix on a recommendation. It is about, it's kind of, I watched it in the summer, so I'm trying to think of, it's one where there is a world event, so given the times, some people might not want to watch this right now, but I think it started before all of this, and it is, it's about, it's hard to say, I don't know how much I want to say. So it's about a plane, there's a plane traveling through the air with a bunch of random passengers going from A to B, and there is a world event where, by the time from when they lift off to the time they land, things have dramatically changed. And so it's a survivalist story, it's a thriller, and it was really, really intense. And there's multiple languages spoken in this one. I can't remember if any of it is in English, actually. This listed as the best new drama to watch in May 2020. That's what Earl says. So, so it was, I guess, May this year. Great, absolutely great show. So I highly recommend this one, but it is quite intense, and it got just to the edge where I wasn't sure I wanted to continue, but given that it was a recommendation, I was like, okay, I'll keep going, because it got right to that edge for me, but I'm really glad I stuck with it. It was really formidable, and really, I thought it was an interesting story about people, and it is really a drama, although it's a thriller and a survivalist, it's about people and relationships, so if that's your jam, this is a good one to go. Kim's Convenience. I love this show so much. So this is a Canadian comedy that features a Korean-Canadian family that run a convenience store. The mother and father run the store, and then the son is estranged, and the daughter goes to OCAD, which is the Ontario College of Art and Design, which is where I went. So this one I absolutely love, and the son that's estranged, he works at a car rental place at Handy Cars. So I absolutely adored this show. I watched the entire thing during the early days of COVID, and it was just so nice to have something so familiar and that felt like home. It reminded me very particularly of one convenience store that was right around the corner from OCA that I went to very often, oddly not when I was going to OCA, but whatever. And so there's just a familiarity and Canadianness to this show that I really appreciated. It's also very much about relationships. And all of the relationships between the different family members is quite unique, and there's and then they really do develop, and they really I don't know, I just really loved it. Obviously, I really loved it, and it has been renewed. The season 5 has wrapped. Sorry about the lights. I have my lights, my Christmas lights are on like alternating things, so I think it's making the lights go weird, so sorry about that. Anyway, so it has been renewed. Season 5 has been wrapped. It's also been renewed for season 6. So there will be more Kim's Convenience to come, but it is a comedy. Although the relationships with the family members are, I find, very much at the forefront. Like, there is a lot of comedy throughout the show, and I absolutely adore it. I don't know when it's coming back, but as I mentioned, season 5 has wrapped and found that out on Twitter, so highly recommend checking this out. I wasn't sure about it when I watched the first episode, but Honestly, I love, and I'm totally biased. I admit that because I'm Canadian. It's very familiar to me. Although I'm not Korean Canadian, obviously, but it feels like home. It feels like home. So I loved it. Kim's Convenience. Um, oh, The Mandalorian. Okay, so I'm not going to say much about this one. It's a Star Wars show. It's on Disney. It's currently airing the second season. I imagine I will be up to date by the time this video airs, but please no spoilers. I just love the show. It's getting new Star Wars anything. I love. I will say, like, I do notice certain things in this one that, like, certain patterns, but I don't care. It's Star Wars and I love it. So, The Mandalorian, I don't know if it's been renewed. I didn't want to look it up because I'm not quite up to date. So, but I imagine it will be. I think, generally speaking, it has been very well received. So, Mandalorian. Next up, Prodigal Son. Okay, so this one's a bit of a weird one. This is a show, it's like for me to be watching because it is a show that follows a father-son relationship. The father is a serial killer who is in jail, and the son is I think he's a profiler. Wow, it's been a bit. Oh, it's been a bit because this was a new show for 2019, and it's on Fox. It's the second season is coming back Fox on January 12th, and so in a lot of ways it's a crime procedural, but it does have a long arc plot as well as. Because the son is trying to figure out something about the father, and the father keeps on trying to want to reach out for the relationship, but he is, he is something else. And the father is played by Michael Sheen, who I love. He's one of my favorite actors, and so that was the draw to the show. And this one is more gruesome than something I would normally watch, but I just keep watching. I don't quite know why. Isn't that horrible to say? And I'm surprised that I watch it. It's on at the same time as another show that I on paper feel like I should watch instead, but I always watch this. So I don't know why, but I get drawn to it, and so I've kept with it. I wasn't sure until recently that it had been renewed. So it's a more of a crime procedural, dark thriller. It does tend to have a crime a week as well as the long arc plot, which I actually don't mind. I can usually only do one procedural at a time, so I guess this is the one that I'm watching right now. What do I have next? Oh, okay, so this one, so that's the title. I'm going to swear for it's not swearing, but I'm going to say the title once, so if you don't like swearing, just mute for 1 second while I have my hand here. So the title of the show is Schitt's Creek. Okay, I'm done with the swearing, non-swearing now. So this is another Canadian comedy. This series is actually complete at 6 seasons. I'm only at season 2 though, and I am absolutely loving it. I love Eugene Levy, and I love Catherine O'Hara. Oh my god. And the styling for this show, oh my god, I think they mostly wear black and white and cream, and that's like it. That's it. No other colors. And it's extraordinary styling and clothes and hair and just everything. And the relationship with the father and the son is hilarious. I love the son so much. Oh my god. I love them all. It's just so okay. I didn't say anything about the show. This is about a wealthy family that loses everything, and the only thing that they have is like the title to this little town that's named the title of the show. And so they are living out of a motel. They don't really have any money, and they're not used to it. And there's a lot of cattiness, but it's just I don't know. Again, another wonderful show, and this is one that I actually think most people have heard and watched and stuff, which is amazing, and I haven't, which I'm really thrilled that anyone watches any Canadian television at all. But I didn't realize how much of a hit this was, and especially because there's so many memes and stuff like that. So this is definitely one that people know it, and I am glad that I picked it up, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm watching it on Netflix, but it's also available on CBC Gem. Kim's Convenience is on Netflix here. It's also available on CBC Gem. CBC Gem is the CBC streaming service, which is available to Canadians. I don't think you can watch it outside of Canada, but I'll leave it down below in case you want to give it a shot. Next up, okay, Trapped. Okay, this one's a bit of a challenging one, because this is an Icelandic show, and it has had 2 seasons. It is a long arc mystery show, more of, at least season 1 was. Season 2 also had a long arc mystery, but this is one where I loved season one. Season one was fascinating. It was so interesting. I love the long arc story. I love the characters. I was very invested in it. I was very curious about it. And I thought, like, I gave season one like a 10 out of 10. Season two, I was not as interested in it. I didn't like the story or the themes anywhere near as much. I didn't like the storytelling as much. And so it's one where it's like, and I felt complete at season one. Like, season one is a story, but it has been, like, they are working on season three as well. So it's a bit of a weird one to include on the list because I don't feel as strongly about it. But I do feel extremely strongly about season one. But season two just didn't quite work for me. I think it was more of the themes, even though the first one is quite dark and it's quite grisly and there is some very upsetting things, but it's also dealt with not like it's clear that it's upsetting, whereas I think sometimes, like in Prodigal Son, I wouldn't say it glamorizes things that are upsetting, but things that are very violent or upsetting are taken sort of more normally, which is like, and that could just be, a different, like an American, often what we see on American television, I find can be very, very upsetting. And then this, like watching it on Trapped, it felt very different. So anyway, so I obviously highly recommend season one, and then, season two is I felt like, I felt not as strongly about, so there you go. That's a bit of a weird one. I think we're on to the last. Yes, we are. So Unorthodox. This is a mini-series, a limited series, a 4-episode series. It's on Netflix here in Canada, and it follows a woman. I don't want to say too much about it. This one's actually based on a memoir, which I didn't know until I started watching it, and it is the emotional, like, resonance and tension in the show is just so formidable, and the performance of the lead is extraordinary, which is actually why I ended up watching it. It was nominated for several awards for what are the TV awards? The Emmys. So it was nominated, I think, in limited series and also best female lead. And so it follows someone who is in a very orthodox, like religious setting, and it just has my heart. So I'm actually only halfway through this series. It's only 4 episodes and I'm only halfway through, and I really should finish it. Maybe I'll try and do that by the end of the year. Not much time left though. But I definitely, from what I've seen so far, I recommend it, especially if you like drama series based on memoirs or women's stories. It follows those tick boxes like big time. And and I think that's the last one. Yes, so that's the last one. So those are my top 10 TV series that I have started and not finished, or ones that are ongoing. Such a weird grouping. Anyway, but I will also have, as I mentioned, my top, my favorite TV series that completed, or that I completed, that are complete, in a separate video. Oh my gosh, words are hard at this point. I hope that you enjoyed that. Please feel free to let me know maybe what's your favorite TV series that you started this year, or recently, or in the fall. We haven't had as much to choose from, but there actually has been new stuff, which I am impressed and slightly confused about. But, I do appreciate it, because I do really love TV. Okay, so those are my thoughts, and I will be back soon with another video. Thank you for watching.